Christopher Cantwell here for ChristopherCantwell.com, and we're discussing a number of different Android applications and methods of keeping your Android device more secure and protecting your privacy. And one of the things that I had discussed previously about security on your PC and privacy on your PC in my article, How to Hide on the Internet, was using Tor. And you can use Tor on your Android device as well. We're going to install two different applications here. This is Orbot, and this is basically a Tor proxy for your Android phone. And you can use this with or without root access, and we'll go through the difference between using root and not using root in just a moment here. So that application is installing, and it has been installed. And I'm going to also install, it's in my history here because I actually already did this, the Or Web private web browser. So these two applications together act sort of like the Tor browser bundle for your PC. And if you have not gotten familiar with the Tor browser bundle for your PC, I would encourage you to check out the How to Hide on the Internet article over at ChristopherCantwell.com. So these two applications have now been installed, and I'm going to quick make shortcuts to these. Or web. Okay. So we need to start Orbot first. Orbot is what connects us to the Tor service, and then Or Web is like a separate web browser that doesn't store our browser history, and it's a more secure way of browsing the web while we're using Tor, as opposed to using a regular browser, which might have identifying information hidden inside of it. So I speak English, so I'm going to select that. Orbot brings Tor to Android, blah, 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 blah. Click Next. Simply installing Orbot will not anonymize all your mobile traffic, and it's sort of important for you to understand that. That's why we have the Or Web browser. To properly configure Orbot, you must configure your device and other apps to use Tor. Now, here's requesting super user access. I'm going to continue without super user for now, and we're just going to use Or Web. So this is what you can do if you don't have root access on your phone. Though, as I discussed in the beginning of the Anarchist Android app audit, I do think that you should root your phone. So click Next, Next, Finished, and then let's activate Orbot with a long press. Okay, so now we have successfully connected to Tor, but as it warned us earlier, this does not mean that your device is secure. You can use the check option from your menu to test your browser. So what we're going to do now is we're going to use the Or Web browser. And sure enough, when we turn on the Or Web browser, congratulations, your browser is configured to use Tor. So using this, we can connect to, well, Silk Road is down, but there's competitors out there. We can anonymize ourselves on the web. This is certainly not my real IP address here, 195.228. So I am anonymized, and I can go to dark websites. I can buy drugs using Bitcoin. I can do all sorts of things that the government doesn't like, and that suits me just fine because I don't like the government very much. So we'll go search here. What's my IP? And of course, the Tor browser has already told us that, but we'll just get that from DuckDuckGo anyway. So 195.228. That's not my real IP address. I am anonymized, and if I search the web using this, just like any other browser, I can go to my website. ChristopherCantwell.com. Sorry, I didn't disable Facebook notifications before I started doing this. And of course now here's my website and Janet Yellen with all her $100 bills at the top article. Now the only thing is though, this does not, now that's great, that's a fine thing to be able to do, but if I use my regular web browser, I'm not going to be in the same position. As we see, this tells me that my IP address is 47.16. something or other. That's my real IP address, and we do not want that IP address showing up if we're trying to use Tor. And the way that we get around that, we're going to open Orbot back up. We're going to go into the settings. We're going to request root access, and that's going to give me this choice here. And I'm going to remember this choice forever and allow it. You are not going to be able to do this if you don't have a rooted phone. And I'm going to enable transparent proxying, automatic torifying of apps, proxy all traffic, proxy traffic for all apps through Tor. And then I'll go back. I will disable Tor, and then I will re-enable Tor. Super user granted. Connected to the Tor network. So now, if I go back to my regular web browser and I refresh this page, what? That's interesting. You know, sort of the downside to using Tor is that some people might use Tor for bad things, and that can get your website, your IP address blocked. So that's not going to work. So I'm going to go to whatsmyip.com. Whatismyip.org. And sure enough, I've got a whole new IP address, 85.10. So I am now anonymized using my regular web browser, and if I use Twitter, Facebook, any of those applications, I will be anonymized using them. But of course, if your Facebook connection is connecting over your Tor connection, and you are using a Facebook connection that you've used using your real connection, it's sort of compromised. So you might want to disable Facebook and that sort of thing before you do it. So let's go check a speed test. Trying to locate the closest server, but it's not going to be the closest server to me because I don't know where that IP address is. I could try to find out if I cared to. That's called geolocation. But we're not too interested in that right now. I just want to see how fast my Tor connection is right now. .730 millisecond ping. If you're not familiar with these numbers that you're about to see, a high ping is a bad thing. That's the measure of milliseconds it takes for a packet to travel across the internet and back. So the lower that number is, the better. 730 is not so good, but it's really not so bad. The upload and download speeds, we want those numbers to be higher. 3.98 megabits per second is not bad, considering that we're on Tor. I've used Tor on my computer, and I've found it to be painfully slow. So being able to download at 3.98 megabits per second, upload at 2.47 megabits per second, I think that's actually pretty decent. And to get out of Tor and go back to regular everyday browsing, we're just going to go back to Orbot here, and we hold that down and we disable it. And then we are back to our normal everyday internet connection where Google doesn't reject my my requests. And as we can see, we're now back to normal. So Orbot and OrWeb are what you're going to want to use Tor on your Android phone. It's a very helpful thing. You can find out more about Tor at torproject.org or at christophercantwell.com.